Welcome to Get Big Out Loud Radio, where we explore living the complex, funny, and beautiful ride of life with me, Kari Knutson, and Dr. Pat on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Are your thoughts keeping you small? Are you ready to get big? I will offer you ideas to transform what you are thinking into conscious action. Explore what is keeping you small and how to shift your behaviors in order to get big. Learn what is possible for you. Get ready to get big and live life out loud starting now.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the great show that Kari Knutson does. I get to take this incredible wild ride of life with her, and I'm excited about today's show. But before we do, I want to take a minute before we get into this and to just say a little bit on who Kari Knutson is for a minute. You know, I've been doing this a number of years now, and there's something special about the people that show up and take their message out into the world. And people have asked me, what's so special about your host, Pat? Like, why are you different? And I'm like, we're not different. We're just a little bit better. And then they get a little bit annoyed. And I said, it's not about the network. It's about the talent of the people here. It's about what's in their heart. It's about what they've created for themselves. And it's about when you look at who they are in the world and who they help other people become. That's what I'm talking about. People always ask me, transformation network. And I'm like, yeah, look up the word transformation. That's what we're about. But Kari Knutson, I have gotten to know her and work with her now for years. And this show you're about to hear, fasten your seat belts, because there's never been a time that you needed, never been more of a time that you needed to set the stage. Kari is a professional speaker. She's a counselor. She's a storyteller. She's a mom. She has not done this with me yet, but I'm telling you, we are going to get it done for 2025. She's a closet rap artist. She's an itchy foot traveler, a chronic extrovert, like the opposite of me, believe it or not. She's like that. I'm a chronic introvert. But she's also an expert in emotional intelligence, but not just emotional intelligence conceptually. Emotional intelligence to help us set the stage in our life to do the things we're meant to do. And so when I'm talking with her today and you hear her speak, she takes psychology off the couch and puts it into the hands of people so that they use it every day. You can enjoy her one-person show. You can follow her around. You can go to Knutson Speaks. You can do all of that. But the one thing today that I want you to walk away with from this is she's a phenomenal coach. And when she talks about setting the stage, what does she really, really mean? Oh, and before we get started, I know we got some haters out there, but I'm just going to do it anyway. Congratulations, Angelina Jolie. Your role in playing a phenomenal opera singer, you set the stage for that. Kari, what do you think about this set the stage? Are we ready?
Yes, we're ready to do it. Thanks for that amazing introduction. It's nice to hear about yourself through someone else's eyes. So thank you.
We never do it. We get right into the topic, and I just wanted to take a moment because I've had some time to reflect.
Well, I appreciate everything you said. That was a very generous introduction, and it kind of makes me think about the juxtaposition of, I recently was at an event where someone was like, okay, so Kari came highly recommended, so here's Kari. And that was the intro.
So is that why we're talking about set the stage?
And that's what we're talking about, set the stage. So I think you set it up really nicely. I had to set my own stage. But thank you for that nice intro. And thank you for the opportunity to talk on Transformation Talk Radio Network, because it is an amazing platform to get to share messages. And this message in particular about setting the stage, it was really, I was thinking about a lot this month. What sets us up for success? And the easiest thing I could
can relate to is in theater, when you're setting the stage, someone who does props, someone who does the set, things are in place and ready to go. The person who designs the lights, like things are ready even before the actor sets foot on the stage for their success. And it made me think about this idea of like, how do we set things up in our life for our own success? How do we set ourselves up? What things keep us from setting the stage? But what small tweaks and ideas could help us if we had that visual of like if we are performing in our lives, what do we need to be successful, both mentally, emotionally, physically, like in all the ways that we need to set ourselves up for success. So I love the idea of you can all think about setting the stage when you go to see a play. If the stage is open before and you see what's on there, you can imagine how it's going to be used. And it's quite
Yeah.
exciting to think about all the care and thought that went into the set
Yeah.
design, props, and the stagecraft.
When I was younger, I had very much younger in my New York City days, I got a cash out gig in Manhattan during my homeless moment. I got a cash out gig where, they pay you under the table. And I was able to work behind the scenes on Broadway, albeit for a short period of time, moving things around. And I had no idea the precision. Setting the stage is this beautiful, beautiful idea. If everybody can hold on to this for this show, where four things converge: talent, creativity, visibility, and action. This is what I experienced when I had this short gig in New York. And, there was a moment in my life where I watched all the moving pieces. And yeah, it's like Kari got recommended. Here she is. Let's go. Because that sets the stage in another way, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because it sets it up for you who has to come out there and take full command, doesn't it?
Yes, it's such a different, and that's actually what made me think of it, like what we do to help each other set the stage for other people to be successful. Like
Mhm.
when I got that kind of intro, it did put a lot of the burden on me to like come in with a lot of energy to be like, here's who I am, here's why you're gonna like it, here's how we're gonna roll. Um, it made me think about the difference when someone helps set the stage for you versus you have to do it for yourself in those events. And like that was to me like a literal stage that I'm stepping onto. And that's why it gave me the idea though, because we not only think about setting the stage for ourselves, like how do I set up myself up for success? And you're not getting about your precision and the timeliness and things. How do I do it so it works? But also for other people, because we're constantly interacting with other people, and the things I do might really impact you, and they really might change things in a positive way or negative way for you. So can I really be thoughtful about how I'm setting the stage for other people? So that's how this came about this month, because I was into a
Yeah.
lot of gigs. I had so many different feelings about the gigs
Did
based
you?
on how I have, and then I wanted to tell you too, one of the stages was not physically set up for six. There were still boxes on the stage and some other um things for and the screen as a screen that was a little bit off center, so people on
Wonky.
one side of the room couldn't see it. And then I was trying to clean up the stage before I spoke on the stage because I didn't want people to look up there and see boxes and a table and tape and bags and so like to me physically setting the stage, because I'm like I want the experience to feel good for people, and all they're going to do is like what's all that stuff on the stage. And the thing is it wasn't my responsibility,
Yeah.
but it was. It was because I'm the one speaking, so it really made me think about that, who's responsible at the end of the day, how we have to own things. So a lot
Yep.
of this came from my experiences this month in vastly different environments of speaking, and when it was set up well and when it wasn't, and then how I had to respond to that.
Yeah. And I love talking about this because this is also about how we feel. And you said it. You had different feelings for different places you were. And let's talk about why this is important. This is one of the when people ask me certain questions, this is one thing I don't address. And I'm now more mindful of this. Every act that we make as business people, let's just start as business people, but as business people, and then as parents, as grandparents, as people that I work with youth in addiction and recovery. Each of us has to, at some point in time, almost every, can I use the word intervention? Almost every intervention, we are setting the stage. There's not much in life where we're not setting the stage, but let's talk about what happens when we do it consciously.
Yeah, that is the most beautiful thing. Consciously thinking about how we're setting, and I started with ourselves. How am I setting myself up for some success in my personal life or my professional life? And sometimes it's too big of a question to be like, how am I setting myself up for success? So you want to get more specific when you're conscious about it. Like, what's working for me and what's not? What parts of my life feel like they flow and I feel like I have what I need? And what is a stopping point, or what is difficult for me, or what do I keep saying I want to do, but then I have a hard time acting on? Like, what are those things that come up, those pain points? Or it could be really helpful to dig a little bit to become conscious, because so much we're on autopilot, just doing what we do and kind of managing the setbacks, but we don't ask ourselves, could I be setting myself up for this to go smoother, for it to be better, for me to utilize a resource, or for me to put something in place? And you can think about simple things in your life that might help. Like, I think for some of us, I know me, like if I have the food I know I want to eat in the fridge, so if I've gone shopping over the weekend, when I'm looking in the fridge for my Monday breakfast, I'm trying to get the kids ready. Like, what should we eat? Whatever. I'm like, I know what we have. I bought it. I even thought about what we should have in the morning. And so here it is. Like, the food is there that I know we want to eat, and I can make it. And it's just one less thing to think about, because I thought about it on Sunday. I don't have to think about it on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And setting myself up for success means thinking ahead, because it's not something I naturally do well with the, food prep. I also think it's around, I noticed for me too in my schedule, if I really was conscious about it, I wasn't setting myself up for success to have any time between coaching calls and gigs and driving. And it was just like one thing after another. And so me deciding to say, like, I always feel late and I always feel hurried. Do I need to schedule a buffer? Do I need like a little more time, and giving myself permission to be like, yeah, let's try that. And instead of being judgmental about it, just being curious, like, what could
Yeah,
I try? And I think in all of our lives, if we analyze some of the little things, the hiccups, the things that aren't working well, the things in our personal lives, our routines, our schedules, or in our work lives, with how we do our projects or whatever we're working on, it's nice to not think of like changing everything. But I do think setting the stage, like, pick something that is a struggle or a pain point, and just observe yourself and think, like, what could I do differently to set myself up for success in this particular
yeah,
situation? And I would say, don't try to do everything, but just try to do something. And picking one small thing where you can really analyze it, to
yeah,
me, is not only powerful, it's doable.
yeah. So I got, look, everybody tells me you need an air fryer. You know what an air fryer things? Pat, you should get an air fryer. With your schedule, get an air fryer. So I went to Costco and I got an air fryer over the
How's it
weekend.
going for you?
And I got this air fryer, and everybody is telling me how great it is. You don't need to use the oven. You'll never use the stove again. It's good for people like you, Pat. And I just thought I got it in there, set it up, did everything I was supposed to do. And there's some parts of it that really, really, I could see a benefit. But then when I got it set up, I'm like, I don't know that this is for me. The stage that was set wasn't based on
Oh.
what I needed.
Yes, but you bring up such a good point, because sometimes the voices, the chorus that are like, do this, do that, try this, or this worked for me. And we do naturally say what works for you, and we get advice from other people. Now, part of setting the stage for our own success is what works for me. What is going to be helpful for me? And I think too, with my real life that I have, with the real time that I have, with my real budget, with real me, with my quirks and my interests and things like that. That's why
Mhm.
sometimes things that should work and do work for other people don't work for us, because we don't consider our unique personalities. Or like you said, the air fryer should be this great thing. Just like, to me, the Instapot should have been this great thing. I know some people right now, just when they say it, they're like, I love my Instapot. I'm so happy that you do. I'm glad you can cook everything in it, that you understand how it works, and then you're not scared of the steam coming out and all that stuff. I couldn't manage it. And so I thought I had to be like, it's just not for me. I
Yeah.
need to find other things, just like your air fryer isn't for you.
Well, and that's why we're talking about setting the stage, because sometimes we find ourselves repeating old mistakes or old patterns or falling into old habits that don't serve us. And, so it took me a day of setting it up. It fits perfectly in the kitchen. I got to rearrange my kitchen and the whole thing about that. But I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it and I'm like, I will never use this. And Linda will be the first to tell you, like, I haven't even told her I bought it because she said, Pat, you'll never use it. You'll never use it. You'll never use it. And yet I thought people are cooked so many great things. But then this is an old pattern, isn't it? It's where
Mhm.
you don't think about what stage do I set? What are my patterns?
Yes.
What will work for me?
Well, and when you
A
want to disrupt your patterns,
oh,
do something new, you have to ask yourself, what's the purpose
and
of
what's
the air
working
fryer?
well? Well, let's talk about this. Let's break this down when we think of our life stage. My stove was working well. Why did I need to augment my cooking? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's kind of like
But did you feel pressure because everyone's talking about the air fryers?
everybody's talking about the air fryer. And, oh my God. And, I go down the aisle into Costco and that's what they're talking about, the air fryer. So I had that moment. But then I realized they use an air fryer because they got like 3 or 4 kids and they use it very specifically for a lot of things. But that's not my pattern. So the question really is, let's talk about this. What's working for you? What's working for you right now in your life? What's working for you? See, I got a beautiful stove that's working for me. What's not working for you? Now, I don't know that the air fryer is not working for me, but there are many other things. Relationships, is that working for you? Yes or no? Your job, is that working for you? Yes or no? How about the way you're managing your finances? Is that working for you? Yes or no? Right? So are you having enough? Are you having fun? Did you do anything fun? What'd you do over the weekend? Was it just work, chores? You feel like you're coming to work on Monday and you didn't get any rest? But how do we set ourselves up, Kari? Because that's why we're talking about setting the stage, right?
Yes, and exactly. And it's good to think when things are working, like don't mess with what's working. But usually if you think anybody, if you analyze your life, there's something that like is not working the way you know it could. And then it's hard because we fall into our habits. We're creatures of habit. And even if a habit doesn't serve us, at least we're comfortable with it. You know what to expect from it. Or we kind of, our brain is like, well, this is just how it is. So when you're trying to change something and set yourself up for success, like part of setting the stage. And the reason why I love the theater analogy is so much is there is nothing that is on stage that doesn't have a purpose or a reason or won't be used, right? It's not like it's just there. It's part of the experience. And I think about that in our own lives. When I set the stage up, should be only things there that are truly going to be helpful, not the noise of you should do this and this should do it that way. You should like so setting the stage up when you realize, okay, here's something I want to improve in my life. And I'll just use a quick example of me going to a gym, okay, for myself. I would say going to the gym is something I value and I think is important. And I had my membership to the gym I was going to, and I wasn't really going. And I had to ask myself, like, why aren't you really going? And I had to look and say, okay, the schedule of classes doesn't, well, when it does match my need, the classes are full. It's a little hard to sign up for. It's actually further away now that my kids go to different schools. It was easier when my kids went to school there, then I would go and then after I dropped them off, and now they're at different schools. So now it's harder to go to that part of town. It is a little bit further. The times it's open don't necessarily work with my schedule. So I was thinking like, I'm not going because I don't want to work out. I'm like thinking about my schedule. It's just really hard for me to get there. So part of being conscious of it wasn't to be, well, now I'm horrible. I just don't work out. I'm going to quit. But I was like, okay, what are the actual criteria I need to set the stage? It has to be closer to my home, has to have more flexible hours, has to be easy to sign up for classes. And also I was missing, I'm driven by connecting with people because I'm an extrovert. And at my other gym, I just felt like a number, like nobody cared if I came, if I didn't come.
Yeah.
I needed a community. And that was an interesting thing to set my own stage. Can I find a gym that has some community to it, or some aspect of somebody caring if you show up or not? Because I need that accountability piece from someone. And again, when you know yourself without judging yourself, it can
Mhm.
be so beautiful to be curious about you and then get your needs met. So notice I didn't be like, I'm a failure because I'm not going to my gym. I'd be like, it's not working for me to go to this gym anymore. It's just not. And then if I want to set the stage up to keep working out, I need to make a change. And part of that change has to be closer to my house, more flexible schedule, ease of signing up, and community. So once you know your criteria too, that to me, other things fall away really easily. Nope, doesn't check these boxes. But part of too, thinking about this new gym choice is prioritizing. This is a pain point that I don't really want to live with anymore. And I want to take some time to analyze it and then solve it or make
Yeah.
steps towards improving it. So that's the other thing when you're trying to set the stage. You can't just be like, okay, I hope it works out. I hope things fall into place. I hope I figure it out. We have to bring some conscious mindset to, and we have to give it some time. And a lot of us are so busy just doing what we've done the way we've always done it. It's hard to break out of those patterns to be like, how do I want to set myself up for success? I might need to step back first, do a little analysis, and then instead of changing everything, pick one tiny thing that feels like doable. Because you know what? That makes the next thing more doable. And so with my gym, I feel so lucky because I found a gym 5 blocks. I walked there the other day. When my car was in the shop, I walked there. I'm like, I can walk to the gym. I can get in with the fob whenever I want. The person at the desk is like, "Hi, Kari." She knew my
Yeah.
name, and like the owner has a really good sense of community, and it's small and it's feels like a place I could
Yeah.
go to and feel comfortable, and it meets my criteria. So, and also I've like put my clothes in my car, so when I'm done with the gig, I can just go. And I feel like I've worked out more in the last month because of these changes than I had in the past probably 8 months, trying to do something that just wasn't working. And that's kind of setting the stage. You could say my story is the gym story for this month, but any listener, and you, Dr. Pat, too, could look in your life and think, what's that one thing that if I gave a little bit of thought to and time to, I could shift some of what I'm doing to set the stage for my success, which is
Yeah.
the goal.
Well, let's talk about that because I had to go through this and do this for a personal area in my life because I realized this year, I don't know who I'll be spending the holiday with. I don't know Linda will come. I don't know any of that. And I was just sitting there in limbo. And then the Thanksgiving came, and Thanksgiving came later this year. At least it appears that we have a shorter holiday time, right? You know what I'm saying? Well, the
Yeah.
shopping people say you only have 4 weeks of shopping instead of 5. I'm like, okay, I'm not, believe me, I don't need to set the stage for that. That's not on my radar. But what I decided though was I'm going to decorate. And I realized as I was planning this instead, because I have to have time to do it, Kari. I have to be able to say, if I'm going to do this at work, or if I'm going to do this here, where am I going to map out the time? I need to have the time. So I had to really set that stage. And I did some things different this year than I would have done. First of all, I can't climb up and get all the Christmas stuff. So I bought some new stuff. And I haven't decorated the outside of my house like to any notable. I realized in like 30 years, like in 30 years, I haven't really done the outside house thing. And boy, I enjoyed searching for the right thing to put out there, the right inflatable. You got to have an inflatable. You know what I mean? But inflatable. And the right set of lights. And I just started to do it a piece at a little bit at a time. So now I have to look at an old habit because I have to stop now. Stop buying stuff to decorate, right? Because it looks great. So now I'm decorating the office.
But wait a minute, I love what you just said. I have to stop buying stuff to decorate and just decorate, right? Like I have to stop because sometimes in the doing, we're so busy doing and getting resources and finding things that we don't just do the thing with what we
Yeah.
have. which is another great part of setting yourself up for success. Like, how much time do we spend thinking about it, getting resources for it, talking about it, journaling about it, reading a book about it, and then doing the thing, which is for you is like, stop buying, start putting stuff up and do the, so that's a really good point that you made. Like, how do we tell ourselves like, okay, it's time to make the change, to do the thing you've been prepping for?
Yeah. Well, in preparation for this, I'll make an announcement. I am going to take my air fryer, put it back in my air fryer box, pack it up and take it back, because what I realized is I'm not going to use it. And there's a part of me, I'm not the take back things queen. That is not me. I am not the queen of returns. As a matter of fact, I just go a little bit bazonko when I have to return something. On the other hand, Linda's sister is the shopping and return queen. She lives to shop. The height of the whole thing with Karen is, I love to shop. She comes home, she's got a blouse for you, she's got pants for you, she loves to shop. And if they don't fit, she doesn't care because she takes it back. My worst nightmare is having to return something. That is probably some childhood phobia. But you see, let's talk about this, because you're speaking. I want to get back to your speaking. You know, I learned something quite a few years ago. I had the opportunity of sharing a stage with Shirley MacLaine. I'll never forget it. I didn't know how to set the stage. I mean, literally. And it's such a metaphor, because you speak every day almost?
A lot, yeah, like 100
Different
times a year.
places.
So like, yeah, different places. And
Every
depending on
year.
the month, yeah, I speak a lot, a lot.
But you don't know always what you're walking into, right?
Oh,
Do you
no.
always know?
No, but it was funny. You can think you know, but that's part of being a speaker. And when I train people, I do a lot of coaching on being a better public speaker. One of the things I talk about first is like, it doesn't matter about your content, doesn't matter what you plan for. You have to be adaptable, because literally every time you show up, it's a different setup, a different group, something potentially could go wrong. There's different physical elements to deal with. If you are not adaptable and you are so tied into how you think it's going to be really hard for you to be a speaker,
Yeah.
because it's nothing but new. I mean, every gig is a new adventure.
And we're going to take a short break, because when we come back, we really are talking about life. You must be extraordinarily adaptable person. You must be, because anybody that does as much speaking as you do, right? There's just this level of readiness that you have to have. And we're going to take a short break. When we come back, how does setting the stage ready you for your life? Not the life you're settling for, but for the life you want. Do you even believe that you can set your own stage for the life you want? Let's take a short break. We'll be right back with Kari Knutson. Get big out loud. Hey, everybody, welcome back. You're listening to Get Big Out Loud. For more information about Kari, her coaching platform, and by the way, if you want to set the stage for yourself to speak and you don't even know where to begin or what to do, this is the person you want to call. You want to call Kari Knutson or go to her website. Knutson Speaks, right? Kari, is that the best place now to get a hold of you?
Yep.
And it's with a K, K-N-U-T, Knutson, S-O-N, Speaks, like speaking. Coaching, all that you're doing is on there. Everything that you're about. Your one-person show. What are you up to with the one-person show now?
So I did it this fall, and then I would do it again in the spring. And so I do it a couple times a year. And my biggest excitement is that I'm advertising it for conferences as conference entertainment. So that hopefully, I did that in the fall. I got
that's
booked as part of a
cool.
conference. So hopefully you'll be able to see it at a conference near you, something as your evening entertainment.
I think that's a great idea, because a lot of times when you go, okay, sidebar, now I'm going to digress a little bit. A lot of times when you go to these conferences, the entertainment isn't very entertaining, right? So what you're talking about is you've set the stage. for you to do the things in life that you want. And setting that stage sometimes means you have to leave some things behind, like you left your counseling job behind.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that was setting the stage, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, but the thing about setting myself up for success as a speaker, I didn't just, some people think they should quit their day job and then pursue their dream without any kind of like, have you done it before? Is there a chance people want to hire you for it? Like put all in your eggs in that basket creates a lot of stress. So part of setting the stage to leave my job as a school counselor and go fully into speaking was doing it part-time for quite a while, setting the business up more as like a business structure, and then thinking about how to move forward with that so that I could count on, an income and things like that. So setting the stage took a lot of time. And sometimes people, when they see somebody doing something, they have a story about what it was like, oh, this must, then you just do it. And they don't see all the work that goes behind it and all of the prepping and then all of the kind of choosing, like you said, I'm going to choose this and that. Sometimes you can't choose both things, as you really have to make hard choices or figure things out. So yeah, setting the stage up to do my professional speaking and be a full-time public speaker took a couple, like a good 3 or 4 years of setting the stage. So when I did make the decision, I have felt like things were in place to help me be successful. And
Yeah.
that's a good thing you bring up, is like sometimes we want to set the stage quickly. And sometimes we have to put things in place that will help us be successful. We have to think about the long term. Like it might take me a while to get some things in place, or to get the support I need, or the structure, or even the education or understanding I need to maybe do some next step things. So that's a really good point you bring up. It's not just setting the stage, like in the example I gave about the gym, that was like more of a short-term thing. But in the example of setting the stage for my speaking career, it was a long-term.
Yeah. And this is really important. I mean, here we are doing a show, and people always ask me, how did you know this is what you wanted to do? How did you get so good at it? And they don't know about, as a matter of fact, for the holidays, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my producer, Emily, to really take a look at some of the older shows I've done. And it's going to be fascinating to see what the audience thinks of Have I Changed? Am I still the person that did Crust Busting Your Way to an Awesome Life? Is that still me? Is that
Mhm.
that person? And or have I, oh my gosh, do I want to use the word, have I matured? I mean, it's, or have I changed? And I think for me, I had no stage setting back then. This I did because I dialed the wrong phone number and I loved it. And then I created it. And I didn't have a template because I wasn't doing the kind of shows on radio that radio was doing. And so setting the stage sometimes means you have to be innovative and creative, doesn't it?
Yes, and I do love that idea of setting the stage, using your creativity, using your innovation. And I'll just go back to like physically speaking. Sometimes when you
Yes.
go up to a space and they say, okay, there's going to be 20 people and 50 show up, right? Or they say there's going to be 130 show up. Or they say we're going to have tables this way and it's another way. Or they have technology that doesn't work or something else happens. You have to be innovative and creative. Or when something happens and you can tell the audience, I was doing one group on building high performing teams. And I was talking about trust, and someone said, here, we don't have trust here, and here's why. And I'm like, whoa, okay. So now we got to talk about that, right? You have to be
Right.
creative and adaptable to be able to keep showing up to do what you love to do. And that is such a great attribute to have when you think about setting the stage in your own life. Where can you use your creativity? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
where can you use your creativity to solve some problems, or think about that? And where can you think about being adaptable in ways that might help you? And I think it's such a good analogy to think about when you see a speaker. Part of it is their content, but part of it is the creativity and how they present their content, right? Part of it is how they make themselves memorable. Also, being adaptable as a speaker, no one is ever going to know how it was supposed to be except you. So you have to show up to what is. So if
Oh
someone
my
cuts
God,
off
I
your
know.
time, if someone says you has an hour and a half, but they speak for a half an hour with introductions and talk about something, and you just really have an hour, you can't be like, hey, this guy took my hour, my half hour, and now I have an hour. You still have to be adaptable enough. The show must go on. And that's why I feel like it's such a powerful tool to think about, being creative and adaptable as you're trying to set the stage in your own life. where can I utilize that and things that I'm working on to help me play to my strengths? And sometimes we don't think of ourselves as creative because we can't paint a picture or play the piano or whatever. But creativity to me is all around problem solving, and it's all around what might happen or what could happen if I let myself dream a little bit. And being creative to me is also being curious and being willing to try. Because sometimes we do things to make our lives better to set the stage and it doesn't work out. And so then if it doesn't, then we're like, well, I'll just quit. If it doesn't work out, right? I'll just quit.
Exactly.
And setting the stage for success to me is like keeping on trying even when you feel like quitting. And I'll just tell you a quick story about I was trying my very first time I did a virtual event. It was going to be pre-recorded. And I didn't know anything about pre-recording a video. I didn't even know how to do it, or I didn't know how to get it to, I didn't know how to get the camera. I didn't know anything. And so a friend of mine, a neighbor actually, who's also a friend, is a video producer. So he agreed to help me, but I had zero experience with what to do. So I literally like looked at the camera like this the whole time, and I kind of leaned in really close, and I didn't let my personality come through. It was really weird for me because it was the first time I did it. And to me, I didn't set the stage up for success because I literally think, oh, I'll just turn on the camera and film myself. And it was a hot mess express. It was the worst tape I ever did. And when I saw it, my very first thought was, well, I guess I'll just quit because I can't do it well. I'll quit. And then my husband saw the video. He goes, well, maybe it's not as bad as you think. Let me see the video. And then he saw it. He goes, oh, it's worse.
Yes,
What's wrong with
exactly.
you?
Like my makeup.
Yeah, like what's going on? But the thing is, I said, I know, so I just shouldn't do that. I should quit. He goes, or you should try again.
Yeah.
Get some
Yeah.
more resources. Read about what it's like to be an online speaker. Correct your mistakes. Get some other support and try again. And that to me is like such a great way to think of being creative. Can I try again? Can I try something different? If I didn't get what I wanted the first time, can I still be creative and adaptable enough to try something else? And that I think is vital for if you want to set the stage to reach your goals, to find success, to change something in your life. Creativity and adaptability are two incredible factors that will help you immensely on your journey.
Yeah, and I love what you're talking about. Let's take that and stay with that, because sometimes you have to make mid-course corrections. Okay, my blow up inflatable holiday thing outside. Okay. So let's just talk about that. First of all, I didn't like any of your traditional, but I found this one with Santa Claus on this giant tire four-wheeler, right? And Santa, right, with the big tires on it and there's flames painted on. That's the one I got. So I get it and I hook it up and I'm like, where am I going to plug it in? I got no plug out here, right? Okay, so that did not set the stage, thinking very well about that. And then I took a look at it and said, yes, but if I run an extension cord from the garage, and then I'm like, oh my God, I live in the Pacific Northwest, everything is wet. So then I had to go get a box to put the cord in, right? Then I realized I put the cord in the box, but then I put the power strip in the box that's protecting it. And one of the plugs you plug it in it's like a 6-inch plug. It's like, what is that plug? And nothing fits. So then I have to get another box. So I get the other one now. This one's cool. So I got the black box that's got the one thing in it. Then I got to plug it into another green box. That's the timer. And everything on that is working. So here I am.
I love like don't give up. That's what
Don't
that
give
is.
up.
Like, don't
So
give
then I
up.
get it all hooked up. And okay, so rule number one, scope out your area, because that's what setting the stage is. You got to scope it out. Like with Shirley MacLaine on that stage, she's like, this is a big stage, Pat. You need to scope this out. This is the Benaroya Hall. She's like, that's not how you own the stage. You're taking 2 steps. It's a 50-foot stage, Pat. You got to own it. And I finally got it to work. I hooked it up. I set the timer. And then I trip over the cord from, from the blow up device. I'm not kidding. I got the blow up device that blew up. It's the coolest thing. I'll send you a picture. And then there's this little thin wire that hooks up to the plug, but you can't see it at night. And I thought, I'm done, right? How often do we do this? Come on, Kari, you do it too.
Oh yeah.
It's like, I'm done. Are you really going to walk away from that? And I said, oh no, I get on my favorite place I buy from, and they got this red and white shiny neon tape. And so I tape the wire back to back. Why am I talking about this? I set the stage in my mind first. Let's talk about this because we didn't do it. You must set the stage in your mind.
You must set the stage in your mind, and you must also use your mind when it doesn't go the way you think or when you have a setback to say, why is this important? Why am I going to try again? So that's the two parts about using your mind. To think about, inevitably, when we try to change something or do something, it won't go the way we think. It will go
No, it
another
doesn't
way.
go the way we think. I have been working on losing weight now for 3 years. People are like, really, Pat, are you going to talk about, like, admit that 3 years you're working on losing weight? Yeah, because I was on a particular drug. It's called gabapentin, and it's a nerve blocker, and it worked really well for me for my knees. But it blocks all your nerves. You understand that my brain didn't connect that nerve blocker doesn't just block that one nerve that you're having a problem, it blocks all of them. So here I am. And I'm not understanding. And I'm gaining 10 pounds, 20 pounds. And I'm like, and I finally Google it. So now I have to set the stage in a way that I've never had to do before because I have mastered, my body to be an athlete, but I've never been in this scenario. I've never been at a place like this before. So, Kari, let's get back to what you said about setting the stage. Sometimes the old things don't work. You have to change. I didn't do my research on this. I should have, but now I have a game plan.
Well, and when you think about having a game plan, like learning from what didn't go well or learning from where you still struggle or learning, part of that is setting yourself up for success is no, this didn't work for me, or this won't work for me, or this is a struggle, or this is what do I need to do to overcome this struggle? And I think, again, you can relate this so much to being a speaker, is when you go to an event, you have to observe the space and you have to look for hazards. There's corners over here.
Talk
This
about the
thing's sticking
hazards,
up.
because let's just talk about this, because this is also a metaphor. You get hazards in life, but this whole setting the stage, how often have you showed up in an event and there's a wire, okay, just like me, there's a wire laid down and they don't have any protective tape on it, right?
Yeah. So you have to me, it's so now every time before I go into space, I look at the space from just the entry point, like, and I say, what's potential hazard for me or the audience, or, and then I look on the ground, like, what's going on here? What's not taped down, or what is something still, like somebody had this like access pads essentially to plug in things, but they kind of stuck out a little bit. And I was like, I know I'm going to trip on that was I'm just walking and talking. So I had to really like tell myself where to be. And also like looking at tables that aren't conducive for people to see, or thing you can't walk through certain areas. Like I really do observe the entire room before I do any kind of speaking to see like what's the hazard going to be for me. And there's always going to be something, even how far I can stand in front of the screen before my shadow gets on the screen. Sometimes people are talking, they don't realize their shadows on the screen. So testing that
Oh
out.
my God, that like this show. I know Jessica's probably looking at this and saying, you didn't pull your blind down. See, I know better and I didn't pull my blind down. So I'm getting hit with the light here. Like
Yeah.
that's like a no-no if you're supposed to be a professional. But you have to adapt. Listen, how many funny stories? We should do a whole show on funny stories. I was doing an event at one of the centers here, and they had the band up there. Sometimes these centers, churches, they have bands, right? So I'm doing this band. So first group that comes on, my friend does the hula. And so this starts it off. This starts to get everybody panicking. So she's a great hula dancer, phenomenal, grew up in Hawaii. But she's doing the hula and her slip is falling down. She's hulaing and the slip is coming out from under her dress. And we're all watching it. And she knows it. And I watched exactly what you said. So she's doing the hula, and the next thing you know, the slip is on the floor, and she just kicks that thing up and continues, like kicks her slip into the audience and continues to finish the dance. See, this is what we're talking about. You must finish the dance. Setting
Yes.
the stage is one thing.
Yes, and that is so perfect too. You must finish the dance. You must keep going. The show must go on. Like nobody but you really knows if it's messed up. And part of it is our human instinct to quit or give up or stop. And if we really want to do something different, in order to set the stage up for success, sometimes we have to think about our own resilience. Like, can I keep going past setbacks, past trouble, past, and I have to laugh for me. The very first week I was at the new gym, I was so proud of myself because I was gonna go up there and use the fob key to get in, and I had this whole plan out. I had just enough time between some things to go, but I forgot I was driving my husband's car, and my kids doesn't have the fob, right? And I got there. And I was so proud because I was all ready and I was just planned it so perfectly. I had switched cars with him and thought, I can't get in. I've got no fob. It's after hours. And I was so mad. And then I thought, well, I'll just give up. And I thought, no, Carrie, you're going to go home.
Yeah.
You're going to get the other key. You're going to get the fob, switch it out with your husband. You're going to come back. It's going to take another 10 minutes, but that's why you've got a gym close. So you could keep doing what you're
Yeah.
supposed to do. And like sometimes it's those little things that trip us up and they think, oh, I'll just do it later. But part of setting our stage up for success is, can I have the resilience to go on? And every single actor, that's why thinking about stage, being on the stage is so great because the show must go on and the audience doesn't know if they missed a line, if they missed whatever. They have to just go. And sometimes that could really benefit us. Like, have I set the stage as much as
Yeah.
I can for my success? And now can I just go and try and
Yeah.
do the thing and take action? Because again, that is what a lot of us get stuck with, thinking and planning and setting things up. And then it's very hard to take action. And then if the action is imperfect, we either want to quit or give up or think this is why I can't. So that creativity, adaptability, but I would also add perseverance. Show must go on. So that thinking about those kind of two, the push pull between what would set me up for success and then how can I take action
Yeah.
on doing it,
Yeah.
even if
So
it's not perfect.
you just set up our next show because I'm going to, this is called Going with the Flow. You don't know what's going to show up in life. And Kari Knutson is a lead keynote speaker, teacher, counselor. I was doing one of my first crust busting talks in 2001. One of the first ones. I was excited about crust. I'm still excited about crust busting and Unstuckable, both of them. But I'm on the stage for the Center for Spiritual Living and they have the band up there. And so I'm behind the curtain with the drummer, right? Because I don't know what they were doing, but clearly my weakness is not paying attention at time. Okay. So I'm back there talking to the drummer and we're playing around with the drums. I didn't know she was announcing me. Like she was announcing me to come on. And so the curtain opens up and I'm sitting at the drums on the drums, right? And the drummer's standing there next to me. And the band leader says, hey, you're supposed to be speaking, but wait a minute, do you play the drums? I said, oh yeah. But I hadn't played the drums since my hands got messed up. So he said, what do you want to play? And I said, but I got to speak. Bottom line is, he said, pick a song. I said, let's do The Thrill Is Gone by B.B. King. The whole band comes back on stage and I'm there with the drums, right? A full set of these beautiful drums. And the drummer's got a tambourine and I'm playing the drums to B.B. King's The Thrill Is Gone. Now, the moral of that story is if you're going to do it, bring a change of clothes because by the time, I mean, when you play the drums, man, it is a workout. And I'm a pretty good drum player. I used to take lessons. And then I had to speak and I changed my entire talk.
Wow. And
See,
how
part of
memorable
setting the
was that
stage.
for you and for them, and to be like jump right into it, right? And then changing your talk and then changing in the moment. Like, but maybe that's a good final thought too. Like, how can you be in the moment when you set the stage? And then that to me again is such a perfect analogy to theater. You have to when the it's time to go on, the stage is set, you've practiced your lines, you've done your best. Like, can you show up and do the thing in a way to me that like you said, it brought joy to you, it brought love. Like, can you do it with happiness? Can you do it with joy? Can you show up to the stage you've set and be like, all right, let's play this out. Let's play this one out to the end. That's such a good story, Dr. Pat.
And that's why I hope the next show, let's talk about go with the flow, because the bottom line was I was wearing a dress and I had, the typical stocking, pantyhose things. This was a dress up talk, right? They're not all like that. I had ripped my pantyhose. I looked like I had holes in them because I kept hitting the drum, right? I had to, I was sitting there and I kept hitting the side of the drum and I kept pulling them. So by the time I spoke, I had to change the talk.
But I bet that
Because,
was so great that people loved it. So memorable, right? For them and for you.
but isn't that part of what you're talking about? You could have given up. I could have called timeout. I could have walked off the stage. I could have delayed that. But there's power in going with the flow. Kari, thank you for today. I want to ask you for your personal message and give out your website, because I want to just say this, and I hope we do talk about this. Going with the flow isn't always when things are going so well. Setting the stage isn't always when things are going so well. But you learn to do it for the times where things have to be adjusted. What's your personal message? Thank you for this today. It was
Oh,
perfect.
yeah. I love talking with you about this, Dr. Fat. My personal message is to really think about in some part of your life, where would it help for you to set the stage up for your success? And don't try to pick everything and make some huge change. What's a small area in your personal and professional life where you keep butting up against the same obstacle or barrier, or with a little time and thoughtfulness, you in setting yourself up for success, and you could do something? Because the whole thing, I feel like, is sometimes we suffer needlessly. And the invitation is to, what could I do a little bit differently? What resources and support do I need? And then how could I take some action? If I set myself up for success the best I can I take some action? And then can I be curious and adaptable and not quit when it doesn't go exactly the way I think? But can I be on my way? Can the show go on? And part of it is, to me, setting the stage is so that you can shine and share those things you're supposed to do in this world. So I encourage you to know that that's your greatest goal, is to shine and to set yourself up to be able to do that.
And let's not forget, it's very hard to get big out loud if you're not setting the stage. Kari Knutson, go to Knutson Speaks, everyone, and we'll keep you posted. But I'm thinking this go with the flow is going to be a very funny show. Kari, thank you so much for everything.
You have been listening.
Stop for a minute, set that stage. Take 30 seconds and stop. And think about, I need to set the stage for fill in your own blank. Kari Knutson, call her, get some help, live the life you deserve. We'll see you next time.
You have been listening to Get Big Out Loud Radio, where we explore the complex, funny, and beautiful ride of life with me, Kari Knutson, joining Dr. Pat live every second Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. I will help you to know which thoughts are keeping you small in order for you to get big. Get big and live your life out loud. For more information, visit KnutsonSpeaks.com.